Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Joe and Joe Weather Show on this Wednesday night, December the 29th, 2021. We've got 2 days left before this year is done. Good riddance. And the Joe and Joe Weather Show is brought to you by Omni True Value Hardware at 1226 North Wellwood Avenue in West Babylon, New York. Everything you need to keep your home safe and clean during this winter season. From all the great snow and ice melting products like Pelledo and Mag Ice Pellets and Flakes, they also have the largest supply of rock salt anywhere in the tri-state area. So give them a call or head out to Omni at 1226 North Wellwood Avenue in West Babylon, New York. 631-756-1125 is the phone number. And the website is omnitruevalue.com. So, Mr. Rayo, I woke up this morning, as I do almost every night, around 2:30. I don't know why, but I wake up at 2:30 wide awake. So I have to find a way to kill a couple of hours because usually I don't wind up falling back to sleep about 4:30 or 5. So I spent my time productively last night while I was wide awake and watched on Amazon Prime Being the Ricardos, which is the movie with Nicole Kidman, J.K. Simmons, and a host of other notable actors, pretty much showing a week of what went on during a week of filming during I Love Lucy. And I have to tell you, and I just finished responding to your sister who had messaged me about it. I really enjoyed it. I really enjoy it. Knowing a lot of the history behind the show, they got a lot of it right. And I really thought it was well done. J.K. Simmons is William Frawley. When you watch him and watch his portrayal of William Frawley during the movie, there are times where you think it's Bill Frawley, and the same goes for the other actors too. Nicole Kidman, in particular, there are moments where, and I'm not talking even about when they're doing the show stuff, because they actually didn't do a lot of the show stuff, because it was all more about the prep than anything else. But there were moments where she really, really caught who Lucille Ball was. I think she did a phenomenal job. And the actor, I forgot his name, who played Desi Arnaz, was just superb. I mean, he really was. I think he's married to Penelope Cruz, but he was just superb. So if you haven't seen it and you have Amazon Prime, and you're older than dirt like Joe and I think you might enjoy being the Ricardos. It was very good.
I saw the movie with my wife over the weekend.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, and I'm more of a stickler. First of all of the events that are shown during that week did not happen in one week.
No. They didn't happen at the same time, but I understand why they did what they did. Okay, because those were actually seminal events in the history of the show. So obviously they can't show. They'd have to make a 12-hour biopic in order to do it exactly correct. But I think putting those most important events in that sort of 1 week time frame, even though the time element is a little bit out of sequence, it got the message across. The Red Scare and the pregnancy both playing out, in that 1 week. Those were two separate events, but I know I understand completely why Aaron Sorkin did it the way he did it, and I think he did a great job.
And flashbacks, of course, to before when I Love Lucy, the time when she was playing the lead in My Favorite Husband, and then she demanded when they said that they were going to take the show and bring it to television that she wanted Desi to be her husband, and not Richard Denning, who was playing the role of her husband on the radio version. But you know, Joe, the thing that got to me and also got to my sister, also a big I Love Lucy fan, is at the end when um, it was the evening where they were showing the taping or the filming of the I Love Lucy show just before um, that show. Desi came out to talk about the headlines that were splattered all over the nation about Lucille Ball being communist or Lucille Ball is a red.
Right.
And in the actual occurrence of that, Desi, when he introduced Lucy, said, "Here she is now, my wife, who was never a red, who was never a communist, and even her hair is not
Right. They
legitimate."
didn't use that line that Desi had used when you read about when it actually happened. However, I would argue that was an incredibly dramatic moment.
Right, but you know what they
That, that
did? They know what they did. He brought up on the speaker a gentleman who was from the
well, it
FBI,
was J.
and
Edgar
his Lucy.
Hoover.
It was J. Edgar, but that never happened.
Right, I understand. No, look, there are always
That
certain
never.
there are always certain things that are going to be exaggerated. Okay, uh, that's always going to be the case. There are always going to be certain, they're going to play footsie with the truth. All the movies do it, but on the whole, it's not enough for me. Those two little things were not enough for me at all to take away what I thought was a very good movie, because you really got to know the people that were playing the parts, that were writing the show. I particularly love some of the dialogue that went on with Lucille Ball and the CBS executives with regards to her pregnancy, and I
Right.
can't really repeat it, but in reference to the fact that she was 12 weeks along, had to had to rather graphically explain what that meant to one of the CBS big cheeses. I got a kick out. I got a kick out of that. I really did.
It is amazing. A lot of these kind of things happen to regular people on a day to day basis, and you don't think that this would happen to huge, famous superstar people like Lucille Ball or Desi Arnaz or or anybody in the hiring. But it has happened, and
Yeah.
it shows and it
It
has showed
also,
the
also from that standpoint, from Desi Arnaz's standpoint, because you never really hear a lot about this, but if you know the history of the show, you certainly do know about this. But uh, I think it showed Desi Arnaz as an incredibly powerful and um, uh, able, apt um, executive. I mean, he knew what he was doing. He really
oh
knew
yeah,
what he was doing, and
there's a lot of
oh
psychology that
yeah,
he used to
and
get his way.
and his daughter Lucy has often, because they were very close, has often, said how important it was to her to showcase her father in a good light, because of how much he really was responsible in terms of the show, both and all the technical production, all the technical stuff that came about, that they still use today when they tape sitcoms. It all stemmed from Desi Arnaz's idea about putting cameras on dollies and shooting with three cameras and making it like a stage play, so that the studio audience, has an unencumbered view of the entire set. I loved it. I really loved it. I may watch it again the next time if I wake up tonight at 3 o'clock in the morning and need to find my way to get to sleep. All right. Anyway, we've got some early super chat hits tonight from Doug Wetzel, and also there was one more. I'm sorry, I thought I saw two. Uh, Hang on. Oh, Steve Lapointe. I think it was Steve Lapointe. Yes,
Yes.
Steve Lapointe hitting the super chat tip jar, and we're going to try to shoot for 100 likes tonight. Okay, so the question is, after you got to look at everything today, is it rain shutting off and then it just turns cold and dry, or is it rain changing to snow before ending with little accumulation, or is it rain changing to snow before ending with maybe a few sloppy wet inches of accumulation? I am still leaning to the idea that it just shuts off. Maybe there's a little bit of snow on the backside for somebody, especially north of New York City. But I'm not. I'm still not. I'm still not there with regards to what was a very once again the 6 and 18Z runs, Joe. With this, I've noticed this has been going on for days now. The 6 and 18Z runs are overplaying the depth of the southern shortwave, which is why you wind up with rather that second low that comes out really develops and draws in the cold air. But the 12 and the 0Z don't do that. And those two, the 12 and the 0Z on the GFS match up pretty well with the European and Icon, which are not showing much of anything other than rain ending. And, you're going to have to prove it to me, I think.
Well, I noticed that the extended GFS, the tabular information, actually gave White Plains 1 inch of snow out of this for Saturday night late into Sunday morning. But I think, Joe, overall, 55 degrees on Saturday, rain, which will become steadier and more widespread during the day. And I think once that cold air arrives, it's just going to cut everything off. And there may be some lingering showers, I think, on Sunday, and then it'll get noticeably colder and get ready for a blustery, windy, cold day to kick off the week next week on Monday with a fair amount of sunshine. I do not see any significant snowfall coming out of this, even more than just a coating. I don't even see that. I may be wrong because, again, we're talking about something that's like still 4 days out.
Right.
But right now you'll have to. I'm from Missouri. Well, actually, I'm not. But what do they say in Missouri? You're gonna have to show me. And right now, no one has showed me anything. You haven't shown me anything.
You haven't shown me a darn thing. Well, the other thing tonight that we should pay attention to, because we've had this a couple of times already during this month of December, is the fact that we have a lot of severe weather going on across the southern U.S. And in fact, as I'm going to bring up Tornado HQ here, and we'll take a look at what's on the radar at the moment. There actually is only, it says that there are 2 active severe weather warnings for Alabama. So one is a tornado warning and one is a severe thunderstorm warning. And you can see the tornado warning again. This is where it's 7:44 Eastern time. And there is rough weather that is extending up into Tennessee, but we're not seeing like a crazy, round of severe weather here at the moment. Yeah, I mean, there's a pretty solid line and some rather strong storms. Now, we might see some of those storms pick up a bit as we go through the night. The Storm Prediction Center has enhanced risk across northern Mississippi. Now, most of the thunderstorms have played out over there, so it's really about northern Alabama into northwest Georgia, where we have a tornado watch that is in effect there. And you can see that the slight risk area extends further east into western North Carolina and also over me. I'll probably have some strong storms at some point overnight into tomorrow. And there's going to be more severe weather, Joe, across the south. Tomorrow, this first zone, because the atmosphere is really priming up for this weekend system. But tomorrow, marginal risk exists from the Gulf Coast, from Louisiana to the Florida Panhandle, and then going northeast through Alabama, Georgia, South and North Carolina. Day 3, which takes us now to, I believe, day 3 is Friday into Saturday. And we have another slight risk across Arkansas into Tennessee and northern Mississippi. I think this may wind up getting a little bit of an upgrade here eventually to enhance risk. And once again, Joe, on the long range, so this is day 4, a 15 pretty large area there of a 15% risk of severe weather in Mississippi, Alabama, Northwest Georgia, Tennessee, Western North Carolina, Northern Louisiana, Eastern Arkansas. So it's going to be very busy in the land of severe weather in the coming days.
Now, Joe, a lot of people are on the chat board saying hello to my mom, believe it or not.
Yes, Mother Rayo.
My Mother Rayo, she just received, I guess, as a Christmas gift, one of those smart TVs, and those smart TVs are indeed smart because you could watch YouTube and you could watch the Joe and Joe show on your TV. And so for the first time in the almost 4-year history of Joe and Joe, Mother Rayo is watching live and in color right now. So, Mom, if you're watching, and I know you are, hello. Hello.
I was going to say,
and hello to my sister Lisa as well.
Right. I just put us back up full screen so that Mother Rayo can take a good look at Sonny Boy.
If I knew that she was going to be watching, I wouldn't have been dressed out in black tonight. Or actually, this is a very dark navy blue.
No, but that really contrasts perfectly with your hair. I must say.
True. That's true. White and black.
Yeah, exactly.
Or black and white.
Yeah, exactly. Meanwhile, back in the Northeast and in the northern Mid-Atlantic states, there were some pockets today, by the way. I noticed late this afternoon, there were a few pockets in southern Pennsylvania down into Maryland that actually broke out into some sunshine. But there was a lot of clouds and fog and drizzle and, not really a very inspiring day, let's put it that way. And there are more clouds coming eastward tonight. So I'm thinking, Joe, you're probably not going to get the next couple of days. You're going to be fighting, nighttime and morning low clouds with drizzle and fog in some places. Maybe somebody breaks out to some sun for a couple of hours tomorrow afternoon. And the same, I think, maybe a better chance on Friday. But it is going to be doomy and gloomy. And then, of course, we're watching out west because more energy is dropping down into the Pacific Northwest, and that is going to be the catalyst for the system that is going to be coming eastward for the weekend.
Joe, I've been thinking about it. We may not see much of any sun here until Monday, or maybe late Sunday.
Yeah.
It's going to be a while before we get into a nice period of dry and sunny weather. I saw more sunshine when I was down in Antarctica as opposed to what I'm seeing now here in the good old tri-state metropolitan area. And by the way, we never really saw temperatures down in Antarctica get much below 30 or 32 degrees. And yet it looks like it's going to get quite cold here as that cold air mass sweeps in at the end of the weekend and for the start of next week. I could see here where I live, temperatures down close to 20 come Monday night and Tuesday night, and maybe even Sunday night. So
not impossible. It's a fairly decent shot, cold shot of air that's coming down. It's only going to last a couple of days because, like everything, this is really the first important trough moving into the eastern part of the United States in quite a while. And it's also going to move out. Unfortunately, for snow lovers, that doesn't do you a whole lot of good.
No, it's here. It comes. It's here and it's gone. By midweek, it'll be back to by midweek next week, by next Tuesday and especially Wednesday of next week, we're going to be back in the mid and upper 40s again, which is above normal for this time of the year. And look at Saturday. 55 and maybe places to the south, Joe.
Oh, in the
getting
60s.
Into the 60s.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. No question about that. They're going to be low and mid 60s, I think, from central New Jersey and southern Pennsylvania southward, without a doubt. And this is a problem when you've got the trough is so far west that any of the systems that come eastward out of that trough, by the time they reach here, they get all minored out. So we haven't really had a good, solid, dry, cold air push to come in from the northwest because it can't get here, not with the upper air the way it is. And here's the radar tonight, by the way. There is some rain going on in southernmost New Jersey around Cape May, central and southern Delaware, across into Maryland and northeastern Virginia, back through West Virginia. And you can see the thunderstorms here with a couple of severe thunderstorm warnings up in Alabama, and also that tornado warning that we showed you before is now still up there. And that line of storms is moving eastward. I'm quiet for now, which is good because when the show's over, I got to take my dog out for a walk, and he didn't do everything today that he was supposed to do. So this is going to be interesting. By the way, Steve Lapointe, a double super chat tip jar hitter tonight. Joe says, Joe must be your problem child. Let's get 100 likes on the board. So far we're at 43. So let's see if we can get to 100. Meanwhile, a lot of rain coming into Southern California, even down over to San Diego. You can see the radar is pretty loaded around LA. There's snow in the mountains inland there as that western trough continues. I was looking at shots from Seattle. The airport, basically shut down because of the snow and the cold. They had more cancellations in Seattle, I think, today than anywhere else in the world because of the weather problems and also the COVID issues. But it's, whenever it's snowing there, okay, that's a good way of looking at things. If you didn't know what was going on, if you couldn't see a weather map, and somebody said to you, it's snowing in Seattle, that tells you that it ain't going to snow in the east.
Joe, I think it's going to be a while before we see any. I read yesterday that Chicago had their very first significant snowfall, and it was only about an inch or two, but it was the first time they've seen anything more than just a few snowflakes in the air. And it is the longest time, it broke a record. It was the longest time that Chicago has gone without seeing any snow this late in the season. So it's not just here in the Northeast, but even out in Chicago. And of course, we were talking earlier some weeks ago about how Denver had gone a long time without seeing any snowfall. So everybody is seeing snow, but they're seeing it late. And one has to wonder when New York City is going to finally see its first inch of snow or more on the ground. It certainly doesn't look like it's going to happen in the next few days, unless of course something surprising happens with that wave on Saturday night and Sunday.
Well, let's look and see what WPC has to say with regards to the longer term probability here of snow. So this map I've got on the screen now. So let me just raise the opacity a little bit and put the state borders on. So this the map that's up now, this is Saturday into Sunday. So Joe, Chicago's got a 60 to 70% chance of getting at least the quarter of an inch equivalent of snow and sleet. So I think Chicago, Milwaukee, I think they may wind up doing okay with this first wave that's coming out. Much of that first wave, by the way, misses the Northeast, even upstate New York, and you have to go really to northern Maine to get into a range where it's at 30 to 50%. Now, Sunday into Monday, WPC is not impressed. Okay, not impressed. This is the probability of at least a quarter of an inch liquid equivalent of snow and sleet. So it's a 10 to 30% chance in the light green, and that's all we're seeing on this map at the moment is light green, even all the way up into New Hampshire and Vermont and Maine. So unlike yesterday where they had the stripe going all the way down through the central Appalachians, they actually do still have that stripe going down into western North Carolina, eastern Tennessee, and almost, but not quite to me, it is far smaller than what was shown yesterday. So WPC is is taking my point of view with regards to the system for Sunday.
I wonder if John Charles, who's on the chat board right now, is using the same kind of analogy or using the same type of analog from 1961. That year we had a blizzard on December 13th. We had one associated with the inauguration of President Kennedy on January 20th, then another major snowstorm on February 5th and 6th. And he's saying, and I'm assuming that he's saying this for the upcoming month, going to be a late start, 2 blizzards, one around January 20th and the next February 6th. And by the way, those are also the dates in 1978 when we had our 2 big snowfalls in 78. One kind of a surprise on January 20th, and then of course the blizzard of 78, which those of us of a certain age remember, February 6th and 7th of 78. So, John Charles, if maybe you're hoping for a repeat of 1961 or 1978 this upcoming month, but quite frankly, I don't really see it in the cards. I don't see it in any of the upper air features that's going to happen, but we'll see.
I will just I will just point out that if you go back on the GFS on tropical tidbits over the last 2 weeks, and go back 2 weeks ago, Joe, and just look at the say from 330 hours on, okay, which is usually the period where the model was changing the pattern and bringing the trough into the east and getting rid of the ridge, the trough in the west. If you look through that, starting from 2 weeks ago, and you look through the model runs, we still haven't gotten anywhere inside that 330-hour time frame. So at least on the operational side, we've seen this sort of massive fail on the part of the long range models trying to show the trough in the west going away. More importantly, the Aleutian Ridge, because I think that's more important here. That has been really formidable. It doesn't want to go away at all. Now, I brought up the ensembles because Fled Weather, who is in the process right now of learning the humility of long range forecasting, requested it, and he suggested that over time on the ensembles, we start to see some changes, and in fact, you kind of do a little bit more of a positive. Now, if you believe the ensembles, Joe, going out, actually, I'm just kind of looking at this. So here's your system for Monday, then another trough of importance toward the end of next week. So now we're at January 8th. But the ensembles seem to have a colder look after that. So January 8th would be, so starting at day 10 and then going out through day 16. Okay, so looking at the ensembles on this last run, it does have a bit of a different look. We have more troughing in the east. It's not perfect, but we have some troughing in the east. Looks like the southeast ridge is flattened out and just about gone. And more importantly, we've got ridging that has shifted into the Gulf of Alaska and into Western Canada, which gives us an EPO that's a little more effective. I would say I would be encouraged by this so today is Wednesday. So if next Monday we're sitting here and we're seeing this idea progress into the shorter range, then I think the tone of the conversation will change. Okay. For now, I'm skeptical because we've been down this road before, particularly with the ensembles. They've been doing the same thing with the operational, trying to show a colder look at the end of the forecast periods, and it just never happens. Well, here we're seeing a little bit of progress. Maybe, Joe, this might be a sign that all patterns have to break down. Okay, they don't last forever. So eventually this western trough has to break down and the eastern ridge has to break down. So it's just a matter of time. Um, the the problem is that, are we talking a week? Are we talking 2 weeks? Are we talking a month? Are we talking 2 months? I don't know. But for now, let's look at this and say, okay, we'll watch it and come back on Monday and see where we are with this.
Well, 2 years ago, it seemed like we waited. we said something similar to that, I think, at the very beginning of 2020, saying it has to break down sometime. It's got to break down. It could break down next week, next month. And as it turned out, it finally did break down. And when it finally did, we saw snowflakes in May. I don't think that's going to happen this year,
Well,
though.
I
But
mean, last
you're right.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
No, I mean you were right. It does eventually break down, and therein lies the question: when will it break down? We'll have to just wait and see on that.
Right, because after all, only time will tell.
Yes.
Yes. If we're gonna start whipping around cliches, we might as well really go whole hog. All right, let's go.
It's not nice to fool Mother Nature.
No, it isn't. No, it's not. Okay, so let's go to the short range. I'm going to bring up the U.S. view so we can, you can get an idea here of what we're talking about with the system for the weekend and why are the models doing what they're doing with this system that's coming into the eastern part of the U.S. So we'll load it up here. By the way, I haven't said this in a while, but many thanks to Levi Cowan and his wonderful site Tropical Tidbits, who we use on a nightly basis, and we thank him very much for that. And you can also support Levi by going to his Patreon page and making a monthly donation or a one-time donation if you like. So anyhow, check out the approaching trough for the end of the week. The southern part of this trough is very sharp it's been like this on the 6 and the 18Z runs, and you can distinctly see it here. This argues, here's your northern stream, here's your southern stream. So this argues that the northern stream will go by as the southern stream pushes east or lifts up east-northeast, and you get colder air to come in and strengthen that trough, and that's why you see you saw it. You would have seen today when I bring the map up. You'll see it again. That you get this area of snow that develops as that trough moves through in the east. However, if you go, it's a very simple difference here. If you go to the 12Z, and if you look at the 0Z and the 12Z runs of the GFS, which match up with the European, that southern shortwave is nowhere near as it's not sharp. It's also more phased. If you look at this, it's more phased with that northern stream system that is coming on through. So this would suggest that there isn't really a whole lot of room for anything to happen. The southern part of the trough is going to wind up getting squashed, and you wind up with just rain that basically shuts off, and then it turns sharply colder for Sunday into Monday. So it's a very simple proposition with this. We have to look to see if that southern part of that trough winds up being a deeper and more of a separate feature than the northern part. That really is what it boils down to. And Michael McGuire hitting the super chat tip jar tonight. Watching tonight from the North Carolina Outer Banks, where it's 70 degrees out there. Oh my! Actually, it got very warm here too today. We got to 70. It was quite nice.
It was 38 degrees here, Joe.
Did it not?
Nowhere near 70 yet.
Did it not get out of the 30s today for you?
No, it was in the low 40s during the afternoon hours, but it was a very. I think you put it best in promoting the weather on the slate, promoting Joe and Joe tonight. Gloom and doom.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't exactly call it doom, but it certainly was very gloomy out there today, at least here in the tri-state area. A lot of gray skies, and just bleh.
Yeah, that's
kind
my.
of a day.
Whenever I use that gloom and doom reference, that's what I mean. It's like one of those days where it might not even rain. It's just cloudy and especially in the winter months, it's cloudy, it's dark. The temperatures don't go anywhere. It's on the rawish side, especially if you have a northeast wind. That's sort of my definition of gloom and doom in the wintertime. By the way, if you look at I got the surface up. This is the 12Z surface on the GFS with the low in Oklahoma. You start that cold air comes down into Montana and the Dakotas, pressing southward. So you've got a fairly decent area of snow that breaks out in southern Nebraska, Kansas, northern Missouri, and then that heads northeast. Chicago should do okay with this. I think this might be like a 2 to 4, 3 to 5 the type of snowfall for them, maybe. As the low goes into southern Ohio, the first low kind of redevelops east of Massachusetts during Sunday morning, and then you get the second wave underneath it, which again, because of the fact that it's not as sharp as what we saw in the 18Z, you just maybe get a little bit of a changeover at the very end in inland areas, and that's it. But then you look at the 18Z, where that southern feature is more important. And then here is where you wind up. It's all the same with the first one, but again, it's because the south is so much deeper that here is where on the model that you wind up with something a little more significant as far as a changeover, a brief changeover to snow before ending late Sunday afternoon into Sunday night, and then it pulls away from eastern New England on Monday. As I said earlier, I still think that's a bit of a long shot.
Well, the temperatures are going to be in the 50s on Saturday. The ground is still going to be quite wet on Sunday, and then we turn over cold enough to perhaps change over to snow before everything comes to an end on Sunday. But the question is, how much can stick? How much can accumulate after all of that, the preceding 24 hours? Maybe on the grassy surfaces, car tops, trees, you'll get maybe some, a coating of snow or whatever. But I really don't think we're going to see very much on many of the major drags, so to speak, on Sunday late. So, the only way that we could get anything significant, let's say more than an inch out of this, is if we had a situation where we had a flash freeze. That the temperature dropped really fast.
Yeah, you need the cold air to come in. Look, you need the cold air. As warm as it's been, you need enough cold air to take temperatures down to, say, 27 or 26. And that would be enough to certainly bring some accumulating snows on the backside. But you're asking an awful lot because of the fact that, that the way the second wave is structured here on the GFS in the late afternoons and the mid-cycle runs is just too different from what the other runs are doing, the regular runs, and those match up with the European and with the Icon. They're certainly not showing a bullish view when it comes to this. And by the way, I do have. Let's take a look because should have it now. I have the 18Z European. Now, this is going to take us out 90 hours. So I think that's going to take us out into early Sunday morning, I believe. But let's run it through and see what surprises it has. So there's your first low. I got this weak little low that goes out underneath us tonight into tomorrow morning. Tomorrow's severe weather is probably in the southeast is going to be a little, certainly less than today's. Then we bring in for Saturday where it looks pretty robust. There's your low coming out of the southern plains. Rain coming in Saturday morning on the European. So now we're at 81, 84, 87, 90. So at 90 hours, which is Sunday morning, the first low is sitting almost near Yarmouth. And there's a lot of energy on this European, Joe, that hangs back. There's thunderstorms running from Delaware and Maryland a pretty impressive looking line, by the way, down through western North Carolina, northern Georgia, into central Alabama. There's also the signs of a second low back in western Tennessee. Now, what it does with this beyond 90 hours, I have no idea. That seems to be, to me, this seems that the southern energy is a little bit, it's kind of getting left back behind ahead of the main trough. So I wonder if the European is going to offer us, maybe the European is going to have a little bit of a surprise here. I don't know. It does look like the southern part of that shortwave is more distinct. Just looking at, using the thickness lines as replacement for the upper air, that the Europeans got a bit of a sharper look there for Sunday morning. Now, where it evolves from here, I don't know, but so we'll punt to the next couple of runs and see where it takes us.
Tom Contino was asking, what is the possibility for a flash freeze here on Sunday? And the thing is that even though the surface winds are going to be turning into the northwest and bringing in cold air at the low levels, you really would want to have the upper level winds align with the low level winds or the surface winds to allow that cold air to really pour in and drop the temperatures quickly. That will not happen. The upper air winds will not turn into the northwest probably until sometime during the latter part of Sunday night. And by that time, most of the activity will be all but over with. So I think that we may see temperatures start off or rise into the low 50s on Sunday, Tom, but I think we're going to drop later in the day through the 40s. That's certainly not enough for a rapid change over to snow. And as we sleep during the overnight hours on Sunday night, it'll drop even more through the 30s and into the 20s. But again, by that time, precipitation is all but over.
Yeah.
And when you wake up on Monday, you'll wake up to cold winds, blustery conditions, and probably lots of bright sunshine. And that'll be our first really good look at bright sunshine for the new year, and our first look of bright sunshine going all the way back to now, because it looks like, Joe, we're going to finish out this weekend, start the weekend on rather gloomy conditions, and I really don't see much of any sunshine visible for us between now and, let's say, the end of Saturday and early Sunday.
All right. We've got 73 likes on the board. Let's see if we can push it to 100. We're going to do a little Briller Jeopardy here to finish off the night, as Scott Briller's he's out doing his COVID runs and hopefully staying safe with the amount of cases that are out there. It's kind of crazy. So let's hope he's safe and doesn't come down with anything. So here we go. Joe, the category for today is 10 cities and what their average January snowfall is based on the 1991 to 2020 averages. And you must get it to within 7 inches for credit. So let's begin with New York City and their new January average.
I think the new January average.
Yes.
Probably, I'm going to say 12 inches.
Now he's got 8.8. I thought in the recent runs that January had actually overtaken February as the snowiest month. So I don't know.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah, so he's got 8.8 for January at Central Park. Atlanta, Georgia.
Atlanta, Georgia. I'm going to say 2 inches.
1.
Okay.
1. Which for me, it's probably more like 3 or 4 over the long haul. Albany, New York.
Albany.
Yes.
Well, if New York is 8 point, what was it? 8.88.
8.8.
8.8. I would have to say Albany is at least 16.
Very good. 15.6. Buffalo.
Well, Buffalo's weird because Buffalo is like feast and famine, and when they have And when they have a feast, boy, do they have a feast in terms of snowfall.
And there's the airport versus downtown versus, southwest of there. So Buffalo.
How about 12?
26.7 for Buffalo.
26.7.
Yes, 26.7. Wow. We only need 11 likes, by the way, for 100. So we're almost there. Nashville, Tennessee.
Nashville. How about 4 for Nashville?
Nashville is 2. For some reason, I have it in my mind that Nashville's numbers should be, are higher than what they actually are. I don't know why. It's just, I've always thought maybe that they, for some reason, I have it in my head that Nashville gets, more snow than is indicated by their statistical averages for the year. But only 2 inches for Nashville. Pittsburgh.
Well, Pittsburgh is interesting. Pittsburgh, synoptically speaking, Pittsburgh is in a weird spot. I mean, they don't get the big snows from coastal systems like we do because they're too far west. And I don't think they get much in terms of any kind of but they are in kind of a mountainous terrain area.
It's been a long time. It's been a very long time that Pittsburgh and areas there in Western PA, Eastern Ohio have gotten clobbered by like a really big storm. West Virginia, something coming up from the south that goes up the east side of the Appalachians and maybe brings mostly rain to the coastal plain, but just clobbers everybody on the west side of that low track with like 20 or 30 inches. I think it's been, well over a decade since something like that's happened as far as my memory is concerned.
Christianopedia is asking, is Pittsburgh near Albuquerque?
Yes.
How about, I'll say 7.
Pittsburgh is 13.3. Remember, they also get lake effect there, by the way. Virginia Beach, Virginia.
Yeah. Oh, Virginia Beach, Virginia. How about 3?
0.2. 3.2.
3.2.
3.2. Yes.
So I said 3. So
yeah, you're good.
Yeah,
you're good. Rochester, New York.
All right, boss. We're Rochester. If Buffalo had 26 point something or whatever, Rochester can't be too far behind, I don't think. How about 20?
Actually, 27.4 for Rochester.
More than Buffalo?
Yes.
By an ever so slight amount.
Yes. Minneapolis.
Oh, Minneapolis would probably have, Minneapolis, a lot of people think they get tons and tons of snow. I really don't think that they get a whole lot of snow.
I'll say not as much as you think they do.
Yeah. How about 13?
Not too far off. 11. Which, if you think about it, is not that much higher than New York City. Right. And finally, Washington, D.C.
How about for Washington, D.C.? How about Washington has had like a drought. I mean, it's been so long since the Snowmageddon years that they've gotten anything significant.
Yeah.
I would. How about? I'll say 4.
4.9.
Okay.
And before we do the bonus, we need 4 more likes for 100. So can you take us over the top, folks, please, in honor of the approaching new year and maybe an approaching change in the weather pattern.
My mother added a like, by the way. So.
Oh, very good.
That's good. That's good.
What was the highest monthly total? The highest monthly snow total for January in New York City Central Park within 5, and what year was it?
I think it was within the last 10 years. I think it was something like 20, some ridiculous figure like 28 or 30 or whatever. I think it was like what? 20 like 2013 or 2014. I know it was fairly recently, Joe. I think it was in the last 10 years.
Yeah, 36 inches and that was actually in 2011.
I could remember that year. I
Yeah,
remember
and I think
it was
I
one of those
I
crazy.
think if you look at January of 2013 and January of 2013. I'm sorry. January of 2014 and January of 15, right? 13, 14, and 14 and 15, because those were two brutal winters. So those two Januaries probably aren't that far from that 36, but the record is from 2011, and the number is 36.
And December of 2015, we had a trace of snow, and then in January we had that storm from the 22nd to the 24th, which now is the biggest snowfall ever in New York, 27.5 inches. I mean, that was the whole month right there.
Yeah.
27 and a half inches, and that was in 2016. And you said 2011 we had in January like 36 inches.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, like in the early 2010s, we were getting clobbered with
I mean, the winter,
heavy duty snows in January.
the winters of 8, 9, 9, 10, and 10, 11, particularly 9, 10, and 10, 11, were very, very robust years. A really, a really strong negative NAO signature that was there for a long, long time. Although, if I remember 2011 correctly, the winter kind of shut off once we got into the middle part of February. So it was more of a front end loaded winter than a back end loaded one. So there you have it. We got our 105 likes. Thank you for those of you who hit the super chat tip jar tonight. Most appreciated. And we're good. I think we can sign off now and say we did our jobs. By the way, had a very productive day today. What started out as a day that could have been a disaster for me, because I had bought I don't know how, if this is like you're like this, but with me, most electronic things stop working correctly soon after I get them. Okay, it's uncanny, but it always seems to happen to me that way. Anyhow, I had bought a printer, an HP printer it's a printer scanner copier back in April, and at some point we lost power during the summer, so it just like basically blew out everything in the printer, the drivers, the wireless signal. I could not, and I needed the printer because I had to print up my prep for my colonoscopy next Thursday. Okay, I have to buy an 8.3 ounce bottle of Miralax, a small box of Dulcolax. That's going to be fun. And a 64 ounce bottle of Gatorade, which I'm not good with Gatorade. So I got to figure out whether I can get around that. Anyway, I needed to print this stuff up. So anyhow, I was literally ready to take the printer outside with a sledgehammer and just shatter it into 1,000 pieces. But as it turned out, after about an hour of digging around on the internet, I finally was able to find a phone number to HP, and got somebody on the phone who was very good, and he fixed everything, and now my printer is working perfectly. So I am a happy camper.
Very, very good.
Okay.
And good luck on the colonoscopy.
Yeah, that's a week from tomorrow. So I'll actually have I had to do like the stool sample things yesterday, and I think I mentioned that you don't go to a lab. You have to. They give you these kits, and you have to do it at home on your own, and then you have to put it in a FedEx bag, and then they mail it out. FedEx takes it to the lab, and then they figure it all out from there. So anyhow, I already did that part of it, so I actually should hear something about that either tomorrow or Friday. So, if there's something going on that they can give me some meds for, that would be a very, very good thing. Anyway, yes, you will be doing
Well,
my show. Yeah, no, Chuck Cardell is right, absolutely correct. Will I be asking whether I'd be doing your show on the toilet? Listen, it's it's not that far away, okay? It's not that far away from where I'm sitting right now. So, but fortunately, I have that part of my life under control right now. So that's good. This has been fun. Don't get colitis. Whatever you do, don't get colitis. It really is it's just not fun. Okay. Not that anything else is fun, but this in particular. Although I will say I've gotten my appetite back. I'm starting to desire foods that just up until recently, stuff that I normally would have eaten, I found absolutely repulsive. So, and it seems like my sensitivity to salt and sugar has lessened. So that's another plus. So I'm getting better. I'm getting better.
Well, good luck. Good luck on everything, including the colonoscopy next week. I had one I had done to me a few years ago, and all the stuff that they had me drink, and I'm sitting there and I'm saying to myself, so when is the big flush coming? And it didn't come until very late that night, like long after I had finished or had consumed everything that I was told to consume. It wasn't until like late that night into the next morning, and I had to leave the next morning to go to the hospital and have the procedure done. So, in any case,
well, when I did mine at 50, the prep that you had to take back then, it was the most god awful stuff. I mean, and I'm somebody who really abhors anything sweet. It was the most god awful stuff that you had to take. You basically had to drink 2 gallons of it over the course of the day. And then you find yourself, Scott NYC reminded me of this. And then you find yourself, singing the Roto-Rooter theme. Call Roto-Rooter, that's the name, and away go troubles down the drain. Roto-Rooter sewer service.
The nurse who put me under, he said, "All right, Mr. Rayo, we're going to put you under right now. You're going to have a nice nap." I looked up and I said, "Can I have a dream of being with Heidi Klum on the beach somewhere?" And he says, "Honey, you could have anything that you want." And I swear to you, Joe, I was out for the count within like 30 seconds. And when they woke me up. I didn't know where the heck I was. She said, "All right, wake up." And I looked at I said, who the heck are you? Where am I?
Yeah, I actually remember waking up and feeling like I had slept for 3 days. And then I looked at the clock and it was like 20 minutes went by. It's very fast. Right. I mean, it's very, very fast. Right. So anyway, all right, everybody, and enough colonoscopy talk. We'll talk more about it tomorrow. Have a great night. Stay safe, and we'll see you tomorrow at 7:30.
Scott says night show for Mother Rayo. Mom, we don't talk about stuff like this usually on the show.
No, but every once in a while we get a little colorful.
Yes.
All right, folks, have a great night. Thanks all the likes, 111 likes. Thanks for the super chat hits and for the nice size audience that watched us tonight. We will see you tomorrow at 7:30 Eastern time. Good night.
Good night.